Welcome in, beautiful soul. You've stepped into a space where soft hearts are safe, where stories are sacred, and where healing doesn't have to be rushed. This is where we tell the truth, the messy, beautiful, broken, and brave kind. So take a deep breath. You made it here, and that matters. Some stories don't begin with fireworks or big, bold declarations. Some begin in the silence, where the ache lives, where the lessons linger, where the heart finally whispers, enough. This is one of those stories, the kind that takes its time, the kind that grows in the dark, the kind that might sound a little like yours. God taught me to fly higher. I don't think we talk enough about the weight of weariness, not just the kind that comes from a long day or a bad week, but the soul deep exhaustion that creeps in when you've been carrying too much for too long. The kind of tired that makes you question your strength, your purpose, and whether God still sees you in the chaos. I've been there more than once. There was a time in my life when I felt like I was doing everything right. Praying, working, surviving, and still nothing seemed to move. My faith was alive, but it felt tired. My dreams felt dusty, my spirit weighed down by people and pain I couldn't outrun. And it was in one of those low places that I came across Isaiah 40:28 through 32. Not for the first time, but it hit me like it was written with my name. Do you not know? Have you not heard? The Lord is everlasting God, the creator of the ends of the earth. He will not grow tired or weary, and his understanding no one can fathom. He gives strength to the weary and increases the power for the weak. That word weary felt like it saw me, and then came the part I needed most. But those who wait on the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings like eagles. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not faint. That verse stayed with me like a whisper in the dark, because I was tired. Tired of trying to be strong. Tired of pretending I was okay when I wasn't. And somewhere in the midst of that, God gave me a different kind of answer. Not the one that fixed everything overnight, but the one that reminded me who I was. An eagle, not a chicken, not a pigeon, not a crow. An eagle. I've seen a video once about how crows are the only birds that will attack an eagle in flight. They latch on, trying to weigh it down, and what does the eagle do? It doesn't fight, it doesn't argue, it doesn't waste energy that isn't even built for its altitude. That eagle just flies higher. Eventually the crow can't breathe at that height. It falls off. It has to. That visual gripped me because I realized I've been spending too much time trying to silence crows. Trying to make people understand me, trying to explain my heart to people committed to misunderstanding it, trying to defend myself against gossip, shame, trauma, rejection. I thought I had to fight everything that pecked at me, but God was showing me a better way. Rise, not in pride, but in peace, not to prove something, but to protect something. To protect the woman I was becoming, to protect the healing I fought for, to protect the peace God was finally building in my life. I started to recognize my own crows, thoughts that didn't belong to God, people who only knew how to pull me back into places I've already escaped, habits that made me small when God was asking me to stretch. And it wasn't easy. Elevating never is. There's a loneliness to it. There's a letting go, a quietness, a separation. But it's in that space above the noise that you start to feel something shift. You start to breathe in ways you couldn't at a lower level. You start to see more clearly, hear more clearly, and most of all, you start to heal. God didn't ask us to be warriors for every crow. He asked us to wait on Him, and in that waiting comes the rising. Waiting doesn't mean sitting still, it means aligning, trusting, surrendering. It means getting honest about what's draining you. It means letting go of people, patterns, and places that keep you grounded when you were meant to soar. And here's what I've learned. God doesn't rush your wings. He builds them slowly, gently, through every trial, every lesson, every tear, and when it's time to fly, you'll know. Not because everything's perfect, but because you'll feel the stinging, the shift, the invitation to go higher, even if it scares you. Especially if it scares you. So if you're feeling worn out today, hear me. You're not weak. You're just being called higher. Let the crows fall off. Let the noise quiet down. You weren't made for ground level. And if your wings feel heavy, that's okay too. That's what grace is for. He gives strength to the weary, power to the faint, and new air for the ones who chooses to rise. One flight at a time. The quiet rebuild. There's a moment that happens in healing that no one really talks about. It's not the big breakdown or the comebacks, it's the quiet middle. The space between what you've let go and what you haven't yet arrived at. The part where you're not quite broken anymore, but you're still a little hollow. A space where the world is still spinning, but your feet haven't fully found the ground. That's where I've been, in the rebuilding. I've learned the most about myself in these quiet moments, not when I was heartbroken or even when I was celebrating victories, but when I was simply still. When there was no one around to validate the progress, when there was nothing to prove, when the only thing I had to face was the sound of my own thoughts and the stories I had been telling myself for years. That I wasn't enough, that I had to earn love, that peace was for people who had it easier than me. None of it was ever true. It's strange how loud the lies can get when you spent the most of your lives performing for acceptance. You start confusing pain with purpose. You mistake silence for punishment. And you start to believe that if it doesn't hurt, it's not worth it. But growth doesn't always announce itself loudly. Sometimes it shows up as waking up without dread, as choosing not to text them back, as laughing at something silly when you swore you'd never smile again. Healing snuck up on me in the most unamusing ways. I felt like when I stopped needing to explain why I left, I felt it when I didn't panic at the silence. I felt it when I started sleeping through the night again, without replaying old conversations in my head, trying to rewrite the ending. There's a verse in Isaiah that always grounds me. You will keep in peace. You will keep in perfect peace those whose minds are steadfast, because they trust in you. Isaiah 26:3. And peace, I've learned, doesn't mean perfection. It means presence. It means choosing to be here now, even when the past still pulls at your edges and the future feels uncertain. It means giving yourself permission to feel joy without guilt and grief without shame. When I started trusting that healing didn't have to look like anyone else's, I gave myself freedom. Freedom to rest, freedom to move at my own pace, freedom to not have it all figured out. I stopped chasing closure and started giving it to myself. I stopped trying to understand and started understanding myself. I stopped demanding peace from a world that never promised to give it, and started cultivating in the places I could control. My boundaries, my thoughts, my routines, my faith. And I'll be honest, it's not always graceful. Sometimes healing looks like crying. Sometimes it looks like overthinking a text, or feeling triggered by a scent, a song, a street name. But even that is part of the process. And maybe that's the most beautiful part, that we get to be works in progress and still worthy of love. That we can hold hope and heartbreak in the same hands and still choose forward. So wherever you are in your story, if you're in the quiet middle, if you are rebuilding without applause, if you're learning how to be kind to yourself again, I see you. This isn't the end of your story. This is just where the light starts to sink in. And if no one's told you lately, I'm proud of how far you've come. Even if today didn't look like healing, just showing up is enough. You're allowed to take your time. You're allowed to not have all the answers. But never forget, even in the quiet, you're still growing. Until next time, keep going gently. This is Radio After Rain, where we learn to rise soft but unshaken.